I fix my
Oh,
hair
really?
before we start, and then I
Yeah.
do it again. Hold on, and then it's backwards, and I don't know what pieces are still.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we're on now. So.
Oh, hi. Well, I like to wait for people to show up before I say, hey, this is who we are. How's the angle here for you?
Good.
Good. How are you on Instagram? Let's see. Okay, hey. Hey, Steph. Hey, Adam. I'm just going to wait a few minutes to start. Do you want to say hi to your people?
Hello, people. I don't even know. Is this right?
Yeah. Oh, you have 3 people on already. Fantastic.
Where?
Right up on the left.
Why can't I see them over here?
I don't know.
I can't see them.
Nope. They're hiding. Hey, Gabrielle. How do I say Sanghamritra? Hi, Stephanie. I don't know why you can't see yours over there. So listen.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
You got it? All right, cool. Oh, now you have 6 people.
Yeah. Okay.
Only 1 showing up on the thing. Hello, everybody. We actually have, oh no, Instagram didn't go live yet. Hey, Steph. Hey, Jarre. Hey, Melissa. What's going on? You know this guy, right? So this is our return video. I actually have to sit.
Round 2.
Round 2. We did our first video back in November of 2018 where we spoke about getting unstuck. And Roger and I are coming together again today to talk about today's pain being tomorrow's gain, right? I didn't fix my sitting piece before we went live. So, a little bit about myself. I am a guide to spiritual leaders and empathic entrepreneurs, guiding them to move through their blocks so that they can, and tune in deeply to their gifts so that they can do the work that they're here to do in the world and have the ripple effect with their message, their art, and their gifts. And this is Roger Morello. You want to say a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so those that don't know me or don't follow me, I'm a real estate investor actually, so I'm not particularly from the world of kind of, I guess, psychology or these types of things. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm a guy who has experienced a lot in life. I've come out the other side and learned a lot of tough lessons that I speak about on a daily basis. So if you don't know, if you want to know more, just go on my Facebook page. You get a ton of information on there about who I am, what I'm about, and yeah, I'm sure you get a good idea after this video too.
Yeah, I think so too. So today we're talking about today's pain is tomorrow's gain, right? And
so in terms of starting off, as it relates to that type of topic, some people that might follow me, I've kind of coined the phrase a diesel spirit, and we want to kind of talk about how to build a diesel spirit. What is that really about? What does that mean? Because it's all about your spirit. It's all in your spirit when you're feeling pain. When you go through some life tragedies, things that you experience that kind of have you down at a low level. It's your spirit that's going to bring you out of that. It's your spirit that's going to lift you up. And you can be very weak in your spirit, and you focus on a lot of other things in your life as it relates to goals and careers and jobs and building your body and your health and all these types of things. And your spirit's a living, breathing entity that needs to be built and needs to be tended to and focused on just as much as anything else. And there's ways to go about doing that and building that and growing that part of you. And I don't think there's enough attention on that, that aspect of a person.
Right.
And it's probably the most important, I would say.
I would say it's pretty much because everything starts from within us, right? From that our spirit space, and then life becomes a reflection, right? And so what we're going to talk about today is about how life comes your way is in support of building your spirit, right? So these life experiences, these traumas, these life changes are for you versus, sometimes what happens is people have these experiences and it feels like life is happening to them. And I think both of our message is about you are way more powerful than you've ever been told, and it has to come from within you.
Right. You know, life doesn't happen to you. Life happens as a result of you, as a result of your thinking, your mindset. You know, what you speak out to the world, and what you think is a reflection, is reflected in your life experience. So if you want to change that, you have to change what's going on the inside. You know, it's not about changing what happens on the outside.
Right.
You can change everything about, you know, your life completely, but if you're not changed internally, nothing happens ever.
And it's not sustainable.
Right.
Right. Because you can make the thing happen.
Because you're always going to revert back to a default setting of who you used to be,
on the inside,
how you used to think, and you know, you're always going to revert back to what was. And you have to strip away what was and get rid of it completely.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because you know, in order to be the person, like, what do they say? It's like, you know, what is the thing about how you got to do something different, right? You want to have a change, like, you've got to do something than you've always done. Right. And it's like, when you're thinking about this change that you want to make in your life, this person you want to be, this experiences that you want to have, whether it be like in business, in love, health, relationship, money, it's like, you know, your current circumstances are a reflection of what's going on within. And so people have like tried to like change, like you said, change the outside to change the experiences, and that happens, but it's not sustainable. When you do it from the inside, when you become the person inside yourself that's a match to who you say you want to be, that is sustainable. Right. But what people think is that, oh, well, there's some magic pill, there's some magic trick, there's some magic, I don't know, potion that I can take.
Yeah. So the reality of the situation is that when you have something that happens in your life, some sort of traumatic experience, and you're feeling a tremendous amount of pain, there's no magic answer. There's no you know, simple solution to the problem. You know, it's gonna hurt. It's something that you need time to heal, just like anything else, just like a wound, right? And
also, it's like when a muscle builds,
it
has to rip in order to grow.
Right. And whenever you go to the gym and you start a new workout routine, you know, the muscle that hurts the most is the one that you don't use often or at all, ever. That's the one that's going to hurt the most. It's the one that's going to be sore the most. Getting better hurts. You know, and it's a process that's painful, and it takes, you have to focus on building your spirit the same way you focus on building your body, building your health, building a lot of other things. You can be very feeble and very weak in your spirit. So when you're down at a low level, what then? You know, what's going to pull you out of that? What's going to ultimately be the deciding factor of whether or not you're able to move past it and come out the other side, you know, better for it? And also a stronger person, which is, we'll talk about in a little bit, which is the, you know, the end goal. That's the prize. That's the thing that you're actually working for.
Right.
But it comes at a price that most people don't want to pay. You know, and you can't say, well, I want to be healed and I want to be better and I want to be this and I want to be that, but I don't want to be down on the ground eating dirt, and I don't want to be, you know, feeling this pain, and I don't want to be doing those things.
Right. I don't want to do the hard thing.
Yeah. You know, those things are necessary in order for you. You know, I wasn't always a strong person. I mean, there was times I was very feeble, very weak. You know, I was down, I was out, and you know, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And it was a matter of, which I think the next thing, you know, of importance is, how do you go about building that spirit and becoming Diesel in your spirit?
Yeah.
And
oh God, sorry. Well, I was going to back up a little bit. And
it starts with basically creating the type of environment to where, you know, you can do that. It has to start to be about you. You know, you have to focus on yourself. Yeah. You have to cut everything out that's not feeding your solution.
Yeah, but let's back up a little bit.
Your problem needs to go.
Yeah, but let's back up a little bit, right? Because so it's like what we're talking about is that, you know, all of us on some level have some growth that we want to experience. Like I said, like love, money, health, you know, growing a business. So you have that idea, you have that desire. And then what happens is then life says, all right, like this person is ready to be prepared, ready to start becoming the person that they say they want to be. And then life events start coming together and start, you know, synchronicities start to come together. You're being presented with these opportunities to make the changes that are necessary in order to be aligned with the experiences and the person that you say you want to be. Right. So it's like, this is where it's saying, it's like, in order to be that end result, there is a process in between. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What is that process in between that takes me from where I am now to where I want to be? And we know it's tough. We know that you're going to have to, really
Right.
choose for yourself. You're going to have to fight for what you say that you want. There's going to be circumstances that are going to come your way. You're going to have to make the hard decisions. And there is no magic pill. There is no easy pill. And in order to become that, other version of yourself, the old must die.
Becoming the other person, right? The old must die. You need to strip off. You need to just start stripping away anything and everything that's not feeding where you're going and who you're trying to become and what you're trying to be. And it doesn't matter what it is, people, places, things, anything that is not providing a solution or growing your spirit and feeding your spirit.
So why don't you want to tell me about, am I cutting you off?
No,
I'm sorry.
no.
And what do you want to tell me about, like, what that change point came for you? Like, one of them, right? Because I know I've been through many, many, many transitions and changes to who I am today.
Yeah.
So it's like when we're talking about this life change, like, you wanted it or life said, hey, it's time to change, dude. Like,
no, you got to get fed up. You got to get tired. You got to look at yourself and be disgusted. You got to get pissed. You got to cry about it. You have to look at your life and be completely, utterly, totally disgusted with where it is and why it got to the point to where it's at. And we're talking about pain and we're talking about things that might have, caused some sort of affliction, and there's different levels of that, we were talking yesterday. You can have pain because, your car gets trashed or, something, you lose
the relationship ends,
or a relationship ends,
or the client doesn't come through,
or what happens if your spouse dies or your
Right.
kid dies,
Right.
or what happens if you get told, tomorrow that, you have cancer or, these types of severe, and these are the types of afflictions that, I refer to. Because they're the hardest fight of all.
Yeah.
And make no mistake about it. It's a street brawl. It's not a cute fight. It's not something where you just kind of, pushing each other around. I'm talking about brass knuckles, in the
ring.
Street fighting. And how do you prepare for a fight like that? What does a fighter do to prepare for a fight such as that? When you step in the ring against, Mike Tyson or you're in a UFC, octagon, how do they prepare for that? It's the same thing. You have to prepare for the fight of life.
Yeah, and I think that the bigger the growth opportunity, the harder the fight.
Right.
Yeah. Do you agree? Like, I know for me, it's like there's been like these quantum leaps in like who I've become and really relative to the fight that I had to go through, the old me that I had to let go of, the muscles that I had to build in order to be on the other side.
Yeah. So, and one of I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe, James J. Braddock, right? One of the best comeback stories ever in the history of boxing. This guy's in the depression. He loses everything. He's eating dirt. And he was a heavyweight champion. He lost it all. And he got a second chance. Okay. Guy knocked him out. He's down on the ground. There's a scene in the movie where he gets knocked down. He spits out the blood. You see the blood, drops going. He picks his mouthpiece back up and he stands up and he smiles. And his opponent is looking at him, like he's crazy, like he's completely lost his mind, and he's not this. He wasn't the same guy there that he was the first time. And that's what this is about. You have to completely change who you are and what you're about and how you're going to approach. That's using pain as power to push you and drive you and create, something that you're pulling deep down inside of you to overcome that adversity. You have to look at that adversity and look at the pain and look at what happened. Literally, like it's an attack and you're taking it personal.
Well, and that's the thing is, I know I want to add from like the spiritual side, right? So the spiritual world. So we have the Eckhart Tolle in the world where he was like totally like his ego was dissolving. And for 2 years he spent on a bench. Neil Donald Walsh went through some really deep spiritual growth and he was living in the woods in a tent.
Which brings up a very good point.
Well, let me finish. It's like, but so here's the thing is that when these things are happening, people get too tied up into the fact of what is happening versus like, it's like, oh my God, woe is me. What's happening? This is like, my life is falling apart. I'm in this deep depression. And it's like, okay, but this is for me. What is it? How deep do I need to dig within myself in order to bring me on the other side? What is the very next step that I need to do for myself to keep going rather than wallow in?
Yeah. You got to cut out the noise. You got to go sit on a bench by yourself. You got to lock yourself in a room. And you got to tell everybody to get out.
Yeah.
And you have to do it often. You got to shut off the TV. You got to turn off the radio.
Shut off the fucking TV.
You got to stop reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
You got to stop watching e-news. You got to stop watching mindless television, and you have to feed your spirit. Okay, you're spiritually you have spiritual malnutrition. And you need to feed it the proper elements in order to grow it. So someone that's down and out and woe is me and I'm never going to get out of this, what the hell am I going to do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, look what happened, Well, what do you do on a daily basis in order to fight that? And what do you do on a daily basis in order to develop the kind of spirit within you and the kind of fire that's going to be able to, fight against that? Because the only alternative is that you're going to stay there. You're going to stay down. You're going to stay on your knees. You're going to stay eating dirt. You're going to stay feeling sorry for yourself for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And so you have a choice to make. Now,
make no mistake. Like you're gonna, if the leap that you're ready for, life is gonna bring you to the edge. You're going to have some really hard decision points about what you're gonna do with your life, what you're gonna do with the relationships in your life that are not supporting you, what you're gonna do. And the other thing is like your mind, like your mindset. Like you can't keep continuing those tapes over in the background about like how bad it is and how poor me and etc. And it's like it's important in those times that. Like you can't always get yourself out of it. Like that's what we're all here for, is to like support each other and remembering who we truly are from within. Yeah. You
have to stop feeding the problem.
Yeah.
But one important, point to make is that, it's never going to completely go away. You just don't all of a sudden, look, I mean, I experienced this traumatic event and, now I just forget about it and it goes away. You never actually forget about it, but
I disagree.
Well, how do you know you're healed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know you're healed when you can talk about what happened and you don't get emotional about it, or you don't get as emotional about it as you did when it first happened, when it first occurred. Everybody has something that if they think about it hard enough, it'll make them cry. But I think that, eventually you get to a point to where you can accept it and you can talk about it, and it's not something that is making you immobile. It's making you, not functional in your life.
Well, and I'll add to that. I'll add to that is that when you can see the gift and what that was, it's like, I know my background. It's like I'm intuitive and psychic and clairvoyant and empathic because that was my way of being able to survive through some of those experiences. Right. So when you can see the gifts that you got from that, that is also like, you're actually taking those experiences and taking the energy and creating from that space, like you said earlier, like taking that energy of the experience and putting it towards creation and forward momentum versus like collapse and disillusion.
Right. And my approach is a little bit different. My approach is, where you look, I'm in a street brawl and I'm going to fight. And, I'm not going to accept that this is going to be it for, my life. And, I'm going to do whatever it takes for however long it takes. And I'm going to package it all up in a nice little gift. And I'm going to put a bow tie on it. And I'm going to deliver it back to the thing that afflicted me. And I'm going to make sure they understand who the hell I am. And that's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it as if it's literally a fight for your life. And I don't like to be cute about it.
Let me ask you a question. Who are you giving back what?
The affliction.
Okay, but who are you giving it to? What's the affliction? The
affliction is almost, you have to look at it as something, as you almost have to give it a persona.
Okay. So
from a spiritual sense, and I know what you're getting at. It's not so much you're looking for revenge or you're looking to shove it in the face of somebody. You have to develop a campaign in your head and in your mind and in your heart against an affliction that's trying to keep you down at a low level on your knees, begging. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, you've got to pick a fight. And who are you picking a fight against? You don't need to pick it against the person that afflicted you. You don't need to pick it against, you know, you have to, you need some sort of something to go after. Okay. You need some sort of motivation.
Right.
Does that make sense? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I very well could be.
We're all crazy. That's why we're
hey,
sitting here doing this together.
You know.
Crazy knows crazy. No, what I'm saying is that, so it's like what I'm hearing you say is you take it and then you like you like give it back and you show them who you are. What I'm saying is you eat that and you like you take that energy and you alchemize it and you change it. You use that energy of what's happening.
Well,
you don't give it back to anybody. You don't put on, you were like, no, I'll take this. I'm going to take this as fuel and create what it is that this experience with this affliction is guiding me to do.
Yeah, I think just it's the idea of giving the affliction a persona and in deciding that, you're going to overcome it. I mean, it's really just kind of that simple.
It is that simple, but it's like, I really like my point, because the work that I do is energy, energy and alchemy and being able to change, like being able to take what is coming to you and alchemize it for your use. Right. So that's like a big piece of that to fuel your soul. Yeah.
So now a big part of being able to develop your spirit and being able to develop your ability to be able to kind of move forward and dig yourself out of the hole that you're in, spiritually and mentally and in your heart and in your mind, you have to go back to what we were talking about earlier. You have to get quiet up here, and you have to guard what you're allowing to enter into your head.
Right.
And your mind captures what your ears heard, so you have to be very careful.
I like that.
What you let inside. So you have to look at the people that are around you on a regular basis. You have to look at what you're consuming, the types of material, whether it's I mean, anything that's not feeding your soul or feeding your spirit. When you're in a position like that, it has to be cut out. And as you were saying before, you were, what's the reason why people don't want to make those tough decisions? Because it's going to require a lot of tough decisions. It's going to require a lot of decision making that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's
right. You're going to have to stop pleasing other people. You're going to have to end some relationships that are not supportive.
Right.
You're going to have to take yourself out of those situations that are not supporting the next level version of yourself. The people that are causing you pain, the people that are causing distractions in your life, the people that are bringing your energy down.
Right, because the alternative to that is,
and it shows up as excuses, like it's not a good time.
Of why they don't want to do. Yeah,
it's not a good time. I don't want to hurt their feelings, or like, I don't know, Mercury's in retrograde or whatever. It's like, no, like, it's like, this is your life.
Yeah, so there comes a point where you have to get selfish, and you have to decide that, look, right now this is all about me, and this is about what I need to do in order to heal myself, and anything that's not supportive of that, and anything that, and it doesn't matter what it is. It really just doesn't even matter. I mean, spouses, parents, siblings, your best friend from second grade. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, if your dog looks at you funny, get rid of him. I mean, I'm serious. Like, you have to be, you have to be insane about it, to the point to where it almost becomes, because if you don't start to try to turn it around, it's going to grow.
Right.
Because the more you sit there and the more what you think about expands.
Right.
And what you think about starts to develop more and more in your life.
Right.
So the longer that you sit there and you just kind of, mope, and you avoid making the decisions, and you just kind of rationalize, it's only going to get worse. It's going to grow, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's never going to switch direction.
Right. These are the patterns, and these are the cycles. These are the things that continue to happen over and over and over again. And people are like, why is this always happening to me? Well, what are you not learning from it? What actions are you not taking from it? Well, right, because I feel like the lesson continues to come your way until you learn the lesson or do the thing.
Well, there's a lot more things that have influence over your way of thinking and over the way you act and over, you know, the person that you are right now, then, you know, people want to give credit for.
Right. Yeah,
a lot of people don't think their own thoughts. They don't, you know,
Right.
they don't act the way they really want to act. And, you know, and at the end of the day, when you start to do that, people aren't going to like it. They're not going to like what you have to say. They're not going to like, you know, what you're about when you really start being really what you're actually about.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's okay. I mean,
right. But here's the awesome part of this is that once you start becoming more of who you are and that authentic, and you're like aligning up with that life that you say that you want to have, your world starts to reflect that. Like I've had friends who know I'll be like, I can't make it to your party tonight. I'm, you know, moving through something. And like people in my life understand. There's no like guilt. There's no shame. There's an understanding. There's a respect. And I get that respect because I respect myself. I respect my journey.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, it's temporarily uncomfortable, just like that butterfly coming out of the cocoon. It's temporarily uncomfortable, but on the other side of that are the things that you're wanting for yourself anyway. Yeah.
So you're going to start to attract the right type of people, the right type of company, people that are more aligned with your way of thinking, your values, you know, and that's really ultimately what you want. So it takes a lot of strength and courage to do that, because you have to be willing to stand alone, because you're going to stand alone. Because when you start to step out and you start to think in ways that your current existing social circle or your family, you know, might not necessarily agree with, because they've been imposing their beliefs and what they want on you, there's going to be friction. There's going to be, you know, and you've got to be ready for that. And you've got to be strong enough to say, well, you know what? I mean, it's fine. I'm still going to go move in this direction. And well, let's talk about that. Like what are some of the things that does build your spirit? Like, so when that time comes and that the relationship needs to end, or you need to walk away from a job, or, you know, you really need to do the hard thing. Like, what are some of the things that build someone's spirit? You have to use it. Your spirit's just like a muscle, you know, you know, use it or lose it. A lot of people don't use their spirit. They're spiritually, just not, in touch with themselves. Right. There's like, they're like to the body, right? Yeah. But it's like, what about that piece to the spirit? Right. Right. Like that relationship to your spirit. Yeah. So, right, and that's what I'm getting to. So you know, to get you have to become in touch with yourself. How do you become in touch with yourself? You can't understand yourself or who you are or what you really think until you get quiet, until you shut out the noise. You know, until you go into a room alone and you know, people, they're always surrounded by people all the time. They're always looking for something to do. Being alone and being quiet is nerve-wracking. You know, silence is deafening, and people don't like to listen to their own voice. Right. Well, people don't like to be alone with themselves because they're afraid of what they're going to hear. But that's the exact thing that you want to be doing, is you want to know what that background tape is. You want to know what you're telling yourself. And until you're willing to do that, you're never going to really be able to make any considerable change in your, you know, in your thought process. Right. So and what happens when people are not getting quiet and alone with themselves is they are watching the TV. They are numbing out on food, alcohol, drugs. They are like distracting themselves with other people's drama and chaos. Right. So there's like, you know, shopping, or they're I don't know, online gaming or whatever. Right. So it's like if you want to take a look at what are some of the behaviors that I'm acting out, and are they supportive of that person who I say I want to be? Are they supportive of that experience that I say I want to have? Exactly. You got to get honest with yourself. You got to get really freaking honest with yourself. And, you know, and it's like I said earlier, like working with someone helps support that, because, you know, you've been in this way. There's a lot of comfort. There's a lot of safety to stay in the person that you are. Right. But to have somebody come in and see that outside view, you know, get somebody that's going to tell you the hard truth. Don't, you know, work with someone who's going to be like, no bullshit, and not let you get away with your stories anymore. Yeah. And these are all active, constructive ways that, you know, that you can implement to, you know, to start to try to, you know, cultivate and build the spirit within you. Because, you know, and again, you know, without it, you have no shot. It's really what it boils down to. A lot of people, they try to change their environment, which you want to do. These things help, but they try to change things that, and without really going
Outside.
to the core.
Exactly.
Right,
the
and to
outside.
the source. Yeah,
Right.
you're not focusing on the roots of the problem.
Right.
Everyone's worried about the leaves and the branches, and you've got to go to the root and dissect that. And once you have healthy roots, then it doesn't really matter what happens to you ultimately from that point forward, which can bring us to to the next point in terms of what exactly coming out on the other end and fighting some sort of pain and affliction and coming out the other end and being healed to the point that you now built a resume to where you can look back and you can say, I went through this, I struggled through it, I came out the other end, and I was able to succeed anyway, or I was able to withstand this thing. It didn't kill me, but you're never gonna know strength, and you're never gonna know what those abilities are and what you're really capable of until you've been tested. Until you've been down that road.
Yep.
And that's why being afflicted really is a blessing to you because of what you become in the process.
Life is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be doing the work that I'm doing right now as a spiritual consultant, an entrepreneur doing my own work. Like, I was always in that track of working in corporate, but the catalyst for me to get onto this path was the ending of my 11-year relationship and engagement. And we owned a house together. There were like all of these things that could have prevented me from ending the relationship. And because it was like, it was safe, it was comfortable, and what happens, I think, is when these decision points come for people is that they're looking at the worst case scenario, right? Their mind starts to try to solve the worst case scenario, but what if it could be the best case scenario, right? So when this opportunity, this, what did you call it, affliction came, where it was time, like, I really needed to make a decision about this relationship because I was empty inside, and I knew there was something deep within me that more and better was available. And I made the hard decisions. I made the hard decision about ending the relationship. What was I going to do about the house? Now I'm fully responsible. Like, I could be alone for the rest of my life, right? But here I am. I am like doing work that I love, working with people all over the world. I have the freedom in my life that I always wanted. I am more in touch with who I am as a person. And with that, the life that I create, the people that I draw into my life are a match to that. So it's like, when these choice points come, know that your mind is going to want, because we're wired for survival, your mind is going to try to go to like worst case scenario and try to figure out what it is. But when that starts to happen, start to think about the possibilities. Right. Like, what is possible if I let go of this relationship? What is possible if I walk away from this job? There's
actually mechanisms in your brain that make a person focus on potential
disasters,
risks, and problems, right. and look at things in a way that makes you scared.
Right.
So so to protect you.
Right. Yeah. So like, to know that is like how you're wired.
Right.
And so understanding when those decision points come, understanding when it's time to take the action, so those things are going to come up.
You can intercept, but
you have to keep doing exactly. Yeah, right. You'll be aware, but then you have the power to like shift and make a different choice from there.
Right.
And you've got to take a look.
Initially, it was a struggle, and it really is a lot of times a choice, just how you're going to begin to think and how you're going to let it affect you. I mean, there's a lot of people who have gone through some things that are really bad, and they've got the best outlook on life because of it. And there's people that have been through hell and back, and they say people with the worst past build the best futures, and the reason for that is because there's power in pain. You talk about a lot of people that you see a lot of highly successful people and people that have this weird, crazy, not normal like drive to succeed, and they just you look at them, you just don't understand it. Where does that come from? Like, how do you well, it comes from their testimony. It comes from where they've been and what they've seen,
Your resume,
and what they've gone through.
right?
You know, a lot of times, even with me, you know, even like, you know, back in the day when I would work in sales and corporate, all those kind of things, I was always the guy with my head down. I was working, you know, I was, you know, I would be told a lot of times, you know, listen, you gotta, you know, pump the brakes, you know, you gotta relax. You have to,
Not you.
One of the best things I was told is I'm gripping the bat too hard. So look, what people didn't understand is why, you know, what was behind that drive, what was behind that, what motivated me, you know, why was I the guy that was in the office with the head down, you know, pushing, and you know, and a lot of the people that you know, didn't do as well as I did at that particular time, and many people after me and before me and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, these are people that didn't work as hard, and they didn't have that drive and that motivation, and they didn't have that why and that fire behind them. And that's why for me, I always talk about how, you know, adversity, you know, really is a blessing in your life, because it gives you the ability to, and it pushes you to do things that you wouldn't normally do otherwise.
Yeah, that's a great segue, because there's a question on here about how if we can share, like, from a personal, like, you know, even personal life experience of like how the hold on, let me see if I can get it. She's just talking about how an example of something you went through that you had to make a choice for your health. So what I see in the work that I do is that the physical manifestations are typically connected to an emotional component or a deep belief system or a pattern within. So I've worked with clients where an illness comes and it's really about they've really got to put themselves first. They've got to their self-love. They've got to, like, you know, remember who they are, right? Some of these illnesses comes to bring us back to ourselves. And so it's not necessarily about the illness itself, but what is that illness telling you? What is that illness guiding you toward to do more for yourself? Put yourself first. I mean, do you have any examples around health?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people use illnesses, you know, very, very, I mean, constructively. I mean, and
how so? Constructively,
well,
how so?
In terms of, you know, they take something that is negative and they turn it into a positive.
Right.
You know, and you can use it in a lot of different ways in terms of, you know, being some sort of, you know, once you have an illness, you know, whatever the illness may be, and illnesses can be a lot of different things. I mean, they can be,
right. I mean, I see a lot of people.
They can take a lot of different shapes and forms.
Well, I see people who are in the healing field. So healers, a lot of them have like leaky gut syndrome, because what's happening is they're like overgiving, right? Or breast cancer comes because they're like over nurturing other people and not nurturing themselves. And so what happens is they start to like shift, like who they are inside. Then their body starts to become a manifestation. Just like how life becomes a match and manifestation, the same thing happens with your body. Your body is a manifestation of your subconscious mind. When you shift your subconscious mind, your body shifts, right? And I know for me, when I was on my journey, I had like my most of my life, I was up and down with weight. I would gain, 20 pounds. I would lose 30. I would, gain back 40. I would lose 20. And it got to the point where I've kept off 100 pounds because I got to the inner stuff that was actually having me on that roller coaster. That was actually, creating this physical barrier that I would feel safe in a fuller body. Mm-hmm. And it was when I got to the core of what those mm-hmm. fears were, what those beliefs were then, and did the healing work on it, that my body adjusted to where I am right now. I'm actually thinking about doing a weight loss, course in regards coming from the spiritual and the energetic perspective.
Heal health issues with more kind of spiritual based, holistic type practice.
Yeah, I actually was working with a client not too long ago where she almost canceled her session because she couldn't walk. She was in so much physical pain. Mm-hmm. But when I went in and I read her energy and I checked on what was going on with her, we got to the core of this thing. And, I did the energy work around it. We released it, and she had been going to physical therapy. They told her 4 to 6 weeks that you'll be healed, or maybe mm-hmm. it was months. I don't know, 6 weeks maybe. It'll take 6 weeks for this thing to come in. We did it in one session.
And how'd you do that?
And she'd been, Well, I can't give away my secrets.
So I mean, that is
Over the phone,
but what,
in another country.
but what happened there, right? I mean, so it's like something happened inside this woman's mind
Yes.
that changed.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Something a switch.
But I also have to
went
get
off.
to the core of what that belief was that
Right.
caused the physical pain.
Exactly.
Because we can do the mantras and we can, do all the affirmations and stuff.
Right.
But if you don't pull out the root of that weed, you're
Right.
going to have like a garden of weeds.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So did we answer the health question? I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we got next?
Well, what we were talking about before is that to stay on that theme of what we're talking about here, about how it starts from within, right? It's like, I think where a lot of people struggle and they get frustrated is that they know within themselves that something more and better is available, but they're not there yet. And they get frustrated, and then the frustration takes over, and then they're not moving through the process that's going to give them the diesel spirit muscles to be on the other side. So it's about being right there.
So what's that process? So you have to detach your mind from, what you're stuck on. And, you have to open your mind to new possibilities and new things. And at first, especially when something first happens and you're feeling a tremendous amount of pain, that's hard to do. You're not interested in anything. You're depressed. Your mood changes. You lose focus. There's nothing that excites you anymore, any of these types of things. So, that is something that you have to do things that you don't want to do. You have to force yourself to do those things. And fight those urges to just kind of stay and feel sorry for yourself, and because they're urges. And what happens is that as you begin to start, as you begin to experience little pieces of success, little wins, these are little sparks of hope, of energy that you start to infuse into your life, and they compound. Right. Decisions, they have a compound effect. A little decision today, you're making little decisions every day of your life that you think are very insignificant, and they don't matter. They don't mean anything. Getting out of bed 10 minutes late, or not going to the gym today, or not maybe going to hang out with that friend that's aligned with who you are and who you want to be. Because you want to sit and feel sorry for yourself. All little decisions that you make, they have a compound effect, and actions that you take also have a compound effect. So as you start to see little successes, when I was one of the points that life had kicked my ass, it was hard. I had to put feelings aside, and I worked anyway in spite of how I was feeling. I mean, I was depressed. I was uncertain. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. My whole life was spiraling out of control. I was heartbroken. I mean, every friggin' emotion there is. And I just kept working. I just kept doing it. I just kept moving. I kept swinging the bat. And then I got a little bit of success, and then I saw a little possibility over there. And then then I said, well, I did that. Maybe now I can get another little possibility over here. And then it compounded. And then one possibility turned into 2, turned into 5 to 10. And so next thing you know, I tripled my income and bought 26 houses. So, and I would have never saw that, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I would have never saw that. Right. And had I been given it then, I wouldn't have been prepared for it. I would have lost it.
Totally.
It wouldn't have been a blessing in my life. It would have been a burden, and it would have been a disaster. Right. And it's only because now I can sit here flat-footed, and I can look back at where I was and what I went through and how I overcame it, and now here I am on the other side of it. It doesn't matter what the hell happens now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do I not feel? Of course, I feel pain. I feel pain. I hurt. There's times that I don't feel good, that I'm unhappy, that, I'm doubtful, I'm insecure sometimes, believe it or not.
I don't believe it.
And
so you go watch your own videos?
But, I've got a voice inside me where I go back and I look and I say, nah, you know what? Look at what you did. Look at your friggin' life today compared to what the hell it was. And,
I think you make.
But I had to earn that. I had to earn that.
Well,
I had to fight for that.
Right. And you know, I think it's so important about what you said about the little choices that compound. And what you had found is in your little choices that you fought and you did the thing, the hard thing. You know, you said, we were speaking yesterday, you were like, you know, I still got up even when I was struggling. I still got up and knew what I had to do when I was suffering. When it was still hard, I still did the thing. But but here's the thing is like, you know, the thing is like you said, you can get up 10 minutes earlier every day. You can get up 10 minutes later every day. It's in the little tiny things. And to not let excuses get in the way of doing the thing that you say you want to do. And that includes emotional turmoil. It includes any patterns that you may have. Like it includes like some of the so-called responsibilities that you have. People make up excuses of like, you know, why they can't do the thing. And you got to really check yourself. You could have a pattern going on, but are you really going to let that affect the steps that you need to take? You could have some family stuff going on, but is that really are you really going to allow that to stop the process of you? I call these distractions that come into your life.
Right.
When you're in the middle of a growth thing, you might get, you know, knocked on the side of the chin by something else that comes in life. And life's going to be like, what are you going to do about it now? Now what? Right. It's yeah. You know, no excuses. But I also wanted like, I feel, go ahead, sorry. I'll take a breath.
I mean, you have to go through, I had to go through a process of building my spirit up and just a lot of people, they're just weak in their spirit. They don't.
Right. Like one little thing happens and they're just like, oh.
They crumble, they crushed, you know.
Right. And that's why life is not bringing them what they say that they want. Why isn't this happening? Well, how are you showing up in other areas of your life?
Right.
How are you showing up when somebody cuts you off in the highway or that person doesn't call you back? So
a good question. Like, I mean, and you see a lot of times, you know, people will say, well, I need strength. You know, I need this, or I'm, you know, I feel this way, or I feel that way. How do I make it better? What do I do? Where do I start? Everything's falling apart. And they're looking for some sort of quick, immediate solution or answer, or idea, or some magic word that's gonna all of a sudden just make it all go away. And that's not the way it works. You know, and there is no magic answer. It's a fight. That's why, you know, people that follow me, and I've got it all over my page, I say, you know, life is a fight. And I'm not. It's not a joke. I mean, I'm not. You know, it's not just a catchy phrase. I mean, it's the truth.
Right. And I when we spoke about this last night too, is I sort of disagree a little bit that life doesn't always have to be a fight. Like I don't see it as like a constant fight. I feel like it's opportunities for the evolution of our spirit.
Well, I'm talking about the process of arriving to the evolution of your spirit. Yeah. That's what a fight is.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah.
Because ultimately the goal is like, I don't fight life anymore. So like ultimately the goal is for life not to be a fight.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
It's like when things happen now, it's like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Right. So I'm talking about the process of going from point A to point B and once you get to point B, you know, you're good. You're different. There's something about you that, you know, is just different, and you're more equipped to be able to withstand and deal with life because your spirit has become something that it wasn't before. And that's the evolution of, how did you phrase it? The evolution of your
spirit.
Of your spirit. And that process, the evolution of your spirit, is a friggin' fight. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, just that piece of it. Because what I have totally experienced is through all of these growths that I've gone through, making those hard decisions, like really just like getting to the core and like facing the things within me that needed to be faced in order for me to resolve and move forward. On the other side of it, life is so much better. The relationships that I have are so much better. The synchronicities, life becomes to feel like this playground, you know, and it's like, everything is leading me to what I say that I want, is like, you know, connection and freedom and, you know, to have a purpose in this world. But it's on the other side, there is a prize.
Yeah. And the quality of your life is directly related to the respect that you have for yourself. And I think that, you know, you gain a tremendous amount of respect for yourself when you go through something and you conquer it and you dominate it and you win and you come out the other side a champion. You know, and you have your hands up in the air and you're you know, you won, you know, and you didn't let that thing beat you. The person that you become when you are in a position like that is so incredibly strong and so incredibly indestructible that it doesn't matter what comes against you. It doesn't matter what people say about you. It doesn't matter who leaves you. It doesn't matter what, nothing matters at that point, because you can withstand just about anything that's thrown your way. You know, hardships that used to, you know, crush you to pieces, all of a sudden are like things that like, you just like this with it. You know,
flick of dust.
But you have to earn that, and you have to develop that type of personality, and that is developed and it's created through your spirit. And you can be the biggest, strongest guy with 25-inch biceps, and you could be spiritually friggin'.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've met them.
I mean, you know what I mean? And life would crush you.
So there's a question on here about, you know, do you think everybody needs to hit rock bottom in order to turn the switch and make the change? And so let me answer is that I don't believe I don't believe everybody has to hit rock bottom. As I said in the beginning of the video, I believe that it's like the bigger growth that you're ready and you want and that you're available for is the fight that you're going to go through, because we're using this analogy of like, you know, being in the rink, you know. But yeah, I think people can go through life and be easy and like have it be flow, but are they living their fullest expression that they want to be having? Right? And if you have this really big desire for yourself, you can't tiptoe through life. You can't just like try to stay inside your comfort zone, keeping people happy, trying not to cause any waves. If you're here to have a big impact on the world, you're going to cause some waves. You're going to piss some people off. And yeah, you're going to be given the life lessons and experiences that you're going to give you the muscle to have you be the person that's here to make those ripple effects. Why are you laughing?
Well, yeah, you know, you've got to be a very strong person to be able to stand, you know, and do that, and you know, be able to look at the world and say, you know,
what's up?
Yeah,
I got this. Yeah, what next?
You know, and look, I don't think anybody wants to. I mean, rock bottom can be defined in a lot of different ways depending on who you are and what the circumstances of your life or whatever the case may be. And I don't, you know, you can coin it rock bottom, or you can coin it how you can label it any way you want, but really at the end of the day, what it is it's any sort of circumstance that is that you consider to be something that is like, how would you define rock bottom?
Yeah, so this is, well, yeah, it's I can't even get the words out because I'm so excited to talk about this, because it goes to nothing is good or bad or right or wrong. Like we decide like rock bottom, like who's to say? When I had ended my relationship, right, I was in this mentality of like babies, marriage, white picket fence. And when I let that go, I thought I had blown up my life.
And that was rock bottom for you.
That was my rock bottom. Yeah. But was it really? No, that was my fuel to be like who I am today. So I think it's more about your perspective. And if you can stay at that neutral space of like, everything is what it is, there's no rock bottom, there's no like, then you move through the changes that life is guiding you through.
Nothing has any meaning
unless you give it right.
And you know, things only have meaning based on the meaning that you attach to it.
Right.
So if you know, if you want something to have a different meaning, then just choose to give it a different meaning. I mean, it's really that simple.
Right.
You know, I think people make things too complicated, and they try to, they internalize so many things that, you know, they don't need to be internalizing based on other people's actions and behaviors and you know, and thoughts. And this is another thing of why you need to start to really have a lot of alone time, and start to really just start cutting things away and stripping things away.
Right.
So you could discover who you are and what you're about.
Right. So if like somebody loses all their money, it's like, well, that's what is like the thing to like go within yourself and be like, okay, what is it that I need to do for myself? Someone like loses a business. Okay. Then it's a guide to have you dig deeper within yourself.
Right. And so to anybody that watches this video, right? So how do you know that you're that person that is, you know, that needs to basically isolate yourself, that needs to start cutting away, that needs to start doing some self-reflection and self-discovery? How do you know that you're a person that is not really thinking your own thoughts and not living the way you really want to live? And how do you know that you're a person that is living the life that everyone else wants you to live, and you know, you're not really reflecting who you really are and who you really want to be? If this video is pissing you off right now, like if smoke's coming out of your ears and you got flames shooting out of your eyes, then you know that you're the person.
Right. Oh yeah. I did a video not too long ago about like your trigger is your treasure. So it's like, you know, it's like if an interaction between two people, if I get triggered, it's something for me to take a look at. Right.
Now, if this video is exciting you to where you're saying, wow, you know, you're right, and you're starting to look at, you know, your friend Tom Smith, and you know, you're starting to look at, you know, some of the things that you do on a daily basis with watching TV, some of the programs that you watch, some of the things that you consume on a daily basis.
Where you're spending your time, and where are you giving your time to? What are you giving your energy to?
And you're really starting to think about how you think and what kind of thoughts you let, you know, enter into your mind, and what kind of things that other people say you're allowing to get into your mindset and kind of take over, you know, who you are and what you think. You know, then you're on the right track, and you need to lean into that and move closer to it, not shy away from it. And it's a very hard thing to do. It's a very frightening thing to do, and it's very nerve-wracking. And it's almost kind of like, you know, jumping into a cold pool, or like, you know, like going up on a roller coaster. You know, you go in so far, and then you get to a point where it's just frightening.
Right. It does get scary.
You know, but you have to do it. You have to go through that process.
Yeah. At that point where it gets scary. So what happens is people get to the point where they want to know the choice and decision they're going to make is going to give them the outcome that they desire. When you're on this journey of the evolution of your spirit, those choice points that come, you have to let go of control. You have to let go of needing to know the outcome, because that's only going to stunt the process. You know, your resistance is going to make it more challenging. It is a free for all. It's like that free fall. It's like that when take the leap and then that will appear. And that's where it's like part of what's happening. So your ego doesn't know the difference between, you know, it doesn't know that between the difference between annihilation and growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, just, I guess to wrap it up, we're running out of time here, but I mean, you know, how can you turn pain into power? How has pain become power? And it's the process. It's in the person that you become
through it.
It's in the ultimate end result of the individual that you become through the process of feeling pain and dominating that pain and overcoming and coming through on the other side of success, or coming through on the other side. And success can mean anything to different people.
Right.
You know, how that is measured is different for different people.
Right.
But the bottom line, the point is that you've overcome that adversity to where, you know, you are now a functional human being who's kicking ass at life. And that's the power that you get from pain.
Right.
And pain is the biggest motivator there is.
Right.
And if you want to see it that way and you want to use it that way, then you can do some pretty friggin' amazing things.
Totally.
Yeah. And I want to plug, I wrote a book, Diesel Spirit, very fitting for this. Anybody that hasn't gotten it yet, anybody that likes a lot of the things that I've had to say, there's a hell of a lot more of it in that book, that's for sure. Also on my Facebook page, Roger Michael Morello, you can follow me there daily. I put stuff fresh out of my brain right onto that computer screen.
All right. So the thing that I want to leave everybody with, I mean, you really summarized it well, that there is no magic pill, but there is a process, and you need to get out of your own way and understand that there are all other things that are happening, right? Your nervous system is getting kicked up, your mind is being rewired, your ego is being dissolved, and there is a way through it, and the pain is temporary, but it is going to give you the gains. It's going to guide you to those spaces that you want for yourself, the love, the relationship, the money, the business. And I work with, as I said earlier, spiritual leaders and empathic entrepreneurs who, want to get to the core of anything that's blocking them and get really tuned into their gift, their message, and their art. I have a current course right now. It's called Elevate. We'll be together one-on-one for 6 weeks. I'll pin the comment in here.
I like some elevation.
Yeah, right? So elevate, so as an intuitive, I can go in and I can read your energy and see where the patterns and the beliefs are keeping you stuck. And then tune into, all right, how do you have to move through? And then align yourself energetically with that expanded, elevated version of yourself. Because change can be tricky on your own. So I'd love to help anybody that's ready to take everything that they're doing to the next level and elevate.
Yeah, if you're interested in checking out the book, it's available on Amazon.com. There's links to it on my Facebook page. I have a website. Just go to Roger Michael Morello on Facebook, and you get everything you need to get there.
Clothing coming soon.
What's that?
Clothing coming soon?
Yeah, it's already up.
Cool.
Diesel Spirit, apparel is up to off my website. You can probably see some links to it.
What's so cool is we bumped into each other a couple weeks ago, and you're like, oh, I'm writing a book, and then you're like, hey, I'm done with the book. Boom. This guy is he's no BS. He's living this message that he's talking about today.
Yeah.
And he's doing his properties. He's writing the books. He's showing up every day. He's,
I want to build the biggest building in town by building the biggest building in town. Pretty simple.
Yeah. All right. We done?
Cool.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.